exploded around us as the explosive charges detonated in quick succession, obliterating a chunk of the wall in a shower of dust and debris. It was like music, like hearing an old song I had forgotten about. The dust hadn't even settled when a lone guard came running up to us, his eyes wide with terror. I moved to intercept him, but before I could even take a step, Huel was on the man in an instant. He moved with the grace and speed of a predator, his powerful jaws clamping down on the guard's throat. The man didn't even have time to scream before Huel tore it out, blood spraying in an arc around them. All those hunting trips had paid off. I had trained Huel well. I never had him kill a man before, but it didn't matter. Be it ducks or men, meat is still meat. I quickly grab the corpse and drag it off the cliff and watch as it lands in the bushes. I look at Huel, who is wagging his tail with delight. I wipe the blood from his mouth and pet his head. Good boy. You get an extra treat for that when we get home. Huel barked with excitement.
Whoa! Now that's what I call a kill!
Boomer yells on the other end. I wince slightly at the sound of his voice blaring into my ear. Yeah, he did a good job. I turned my gaze ahead and took in the sight of the compound, this time being able to look at it from inside the breached wall. It wasn't at all what it looked like from the air. It was castle-like and covered in moss. It looks like it hadn't seen any refurbishment since it was constructed. The architecture spoke of an old Spanish settlement with its excessive grandeur and fortifications. Ancient cannons lined the sides, most definitely used to fend off Brazilian natives in the past, their age apparent in the rusted metal and worn wood. My calm crackled to life, Alex's voice breaking the stillness.
This isn't a time for sightseeing. You need to hurry, Nathaniel. You only have a couple minutes before the cameras are operational again and Blackwater learns of an intruder.
I nodded to myself, acknowledging the urgency.
According to the president's microchip, he's being held in the dungeon within the castle. You should have the blueprints of compound in your backpack, but they may not be fully accurate.
Boomer's voice cut in.
That's right, Alex. These blueprints were made several hundred years ago. Who knows what kinds of renovations happened inside there? You'll need to somehow confirm if these blueprints are accurate or find a more accurate map, or else you'll be running around that castle for ages. Interrogate a guard or just look around for a map.
Sounds good, I respond.
You've got this, Nathaniel. Probe every inch, if you have to.
Boomer says, almost salivating. Thanks, I replied, trying to keep it brief.
Anytime, Nathaniel. Maybe after this you and I can find a dungeon of our own. I hear you're good at torture.
I felt a wave of discomfort wash over me. I understood a comment or two, but Boomer was beginning to act really inappropriately. This was a workplace, after all, and his advances were making me uneasy. I forced a smile and focused on the task at hand, pushing aside the awkwardness. There was no time for distractions, though it was a bit hard to concentrate with Boomer's heavy breathing on the other end. Hey, Boomer, you mind turning off your mic when you don't have anything useful to contribute? It's getting a bit distracting. Boomer's voice went silent, and I breathed a sigh of relief. For a moment, I thought I'd actually managed to shut him up.
Let me tell you a story. Have you ever watched Sesame Street?
Boomer's voice crackled back through the comms, undeterred. I gritted my teeth, frustration bubbling up. Boomer, I don't have time for this. Ignoring my irritation, he continued.
Well, there was this one episode where Big Bird was on the phone with Elmo and was a bit under the weather, but you didn't see Elmo making a big-ass deal about...
I cut him off, my patience snapping. Boomer, enough. I need to focus. The silence that followed was blissful. I took a deep breath and started making my way through the courtyard, the echoes of our footsteps mingling with the distant sounds of the castle, which was teeming with activity. Huel and I made our way through the compound, carefully avoiding unsuspecting guards as we navigated around. The blueprints in my backpack were a lifesaver, guiding us step by step towards the castle. While it was in clear view, navigating it was getting to the castle that would be more difficult. We moved cautiously, passing building after building. Most of them were unoccupied, their interiors cloaked in dust and cobwebs. It was clear they hadn't seen use in decades. I couldn't blame the current inhabitants for neglecting them. Many of the structures looked beyond repair, or held no strategic value in their locations. But as we moved stealthily through the compound, one building caught my attention. There was a lot of activity there, a contrast to the eerie silence of the surrounding structures. I edged closer, taking cover behind a wall, and peered around the corner. A group of soldiers loitered outside the building. They were particularly disheveled, a rough and unkempt bunch, their uniforms stained and worn. The stench was overpowering, sweat mixed with something acrid and metallic. It hit me with a wave of recognition, the unmistakable odor of excessive drug use. These men were veterans, probably ex-Marines, judging by their appearance and the scent. "Colonel, what are U.S. vets doing here?" I transmitted over the comms. The colonel's voice crackled through.
Many vets, especially those who've lost limbs or been discharged for medical reasons, find themselves in places like this. They get shuffled back into the real world without proper care. It's a harsh reality. VA services have been woefully underfunded and many of them have had their benefits slashed. But they're soldiers. They know sacrifice. Sacrificing their benefits is just another battle they face for the American public.
I looked more closely and noticed the prosthetics. How had I missed them before? I must be losing my edge. The colonel continued, his tone laced with frustration.
I don't like it either, but that's the reality. Soldiers who've served our country should be treated with respect and given proper care. If it were up to me, every one of them would get the support they deserve. But we don't live in that world.
"That's bullshit, Colonel," I retorted. "The VA gave me land to live on, the occasional check to get by."
Yeah, but you also killed bin Laden.
I'm silent for a moment.
Meritocracy, soldier,
he replied. He's not wrong. I did earn my spot. I am the best. But still, seeing my fellow soldiers like this didn't feel great. "You still didn't answer me. Why are they here?" I asked, trying to push away my guilt.
Blackwater preys on the streets of the U.S. looking for veterans. They're easy to recruit when you promise them purpose and a cause. It's a calculated move.
His words stung more than he might have realized. The exploitative cycle of desperation and recruitment was all too familiar. It's why I'm here. Whether it be the Colonel or General Montgomery before him, I was there. No matter how much I wanted to escape, I am a dog of the military.
I'm so glad I listened to Bill Maher's take on this.
Boomer cut in once again.
You know, it's just like Maher said. This whole situation with military recruitment and the lack of benefits is a direct result of the woke agenda ruining everything. The real problem is these young people pushing their nonsense about inclusivity and diversity. They're destroying the country and making it impossible for veterans to get the care they need. It's all part of this grand scheme where traditional values are cast aside, and the system's left in shambles. You see, if we just went back to the old ways, the ones that valued real patriotism and sacrificed for the country without all this woke nonsense, maybe our soldiers wouldn't be left high and dry. But no, now everyone's too busy worrying about microaggressions to give a damn about real issues like veteran benefits.
I could almost hear the collective groan of disbelief through my comms.
Jesus Christ, Boomer.
Elena muttered.
Aren't you supposed to be the weapons specialist? What are you even talking about?
Alex chimed in.
Hey, I'm just telling you how it is. You can be offended all you want, but the truth is out there. You just gotta do your own research.
Boomer said. Guys, I really don't think we should be talking about this right now, I say, as I notice the guards talking on their walkie-talkie. I can't make out what they're saying, but their once jovial expressions were turning grim.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nathaniel. Did I say something wrong?
Boomer says innocently.
I was just trying to make some salient points about how the military has been used and abused by these woke leftists.
Can someone cut his mic?
Elena shouts.
Or else what? You gonna go protest on a college campus about it?
Boomer shoots back.
Up yours, woke moralists.
I sigh, exasperated. Look, can you all shut the fuck up for a second? I'm literally right next to a barracks. I need to concentrate.
Nathaniel, I get you're doing something important, but these are important topics and
You say that yet you're still talking. You can't keep your opinions to yourself for 5 minutes. He's trying to save the president, Boomer.
I mean, hey, I didn't vote for the guy.
Does that matter?
I guess not. I'm just saying.
Well, keep your opinions to yourself. Whether any of us agree with you or not, this is not the time for your conservative soapbox.
There goes the woke mob trying to silence us again. And I'll have you know I'm not conservative. I'm a classical liberal.
Boomer, Alex, and Elena won't stop arguing. It's pissing me off. I can't deal with this right now. I take the comm piece out of my ear and put it into my pocket. "Who'll come here?" I whisper to my trusty canine companion. He obediently trots over to me. "I need you stay put, okay? I need to get closer to hear what they're talking about." Huel nods his head, his tongue lolling out of the side of his mouth. With that, I stealthily creep towards the barracks, using the cover of the buildings to hide from view. I overhear one of the guards' walkie-talkies.
I repeat, there appears to have been an explosion on the western wall. Private Smith is nowhere to be seen.
Private Smith?
One of the guards tearfully says.
How am I going to tell his wife? His 6-year-old son?
Another guard cuts him off, his voice harsh and commanding.
You'll tell them that their husband and father was a hero, who died fighting for a good cause. Xerxes Valerian would expect nothing less.
I swallow hard, knowing that the guard's words were probably true. The leader of Blackwater would demand that her men maintain their composure and uphold the illusion of their righteousness, even in the face of loss.
Besides, when this is all over, we can just go back in time and undo whatever happened to him.
Good point.
The guard responded, feeling slightly better.
Shoot! Maybe Xerxes can stop my legs from ever getting blown up.
I have no doubt. The boss would do anything for all of us.
When Xerxes finds the intruder, do you think she'll do...
The flailed crucifixion? I would be surprised if she didn't.
He laughs.
Xerxes loves her flail. It's her favorite toy.
The other guards chuckle nervously. I can't help but feel a chill run down my spine at the mention of the brutal punishment that awaits me if I'm caught. Their walkie-talkie goes off again.
Assistance is needed. Come to the western wall immediately.
Roger that.
One of the guards responds. The guards round up a squad of about 25 soldiers and head towards the demolished wall. As they walk by, I slowly sneak towards the entrance of the barracks and peer inside. There looks to be about 6. No 7 soldiers in here, each of them doing menial tasks. One of them was going to tell me where a map is. I ready my hatchet. Not my ideal weapon, but if it's sharp and deadly, I knew how to use it. As I approach the guard standing closest to the entrance, I hear the sound of "Take on Me" playing on the radio. I smile to myself. My old SEAL Team 6 Captain Paul Gassel would play it on our way to every mission. In fact, that's what was playing during our helicopter crash that killed my entire team during the Bin Laden mission. I shake my head. This was no place for nostalgia. Doesn't matter. My old team is dead. These men gave up on their country. They don't deserve my empathy, I try to convince myself. With a wave of energy, I sprint inward and immediately land the axe straight into one of their necks. It drops to the ground with a wet thud. I quickly spin around. The other guards look up in horror, not quite registering what was happening. Good. I needed them off balance. I swing my hatchet again, this time slicing off the head of the next closest guard. I kick the head that's still midair into the next guard's face, the lips on the head and the guard meeting for a split second. Rampant homophobia was an issue in the military. It was part of the culture and I helped contribute to it. But I was past that. Clearly these men weren't, judging from the shock on their faces. Their homophobia gave me a chance to disembowel the man, his intestines dropping on the floor like a 20-pound bag of flour. He twitched and gurgled as I pressed my foot on his chest. I hadn't killed a man in 10 years. Glad age hasn't slowed me down one bit. I feel alive. I almost forgot what combat felt like. The remaining 4 men are completely caught off guard. All of them unarmed with looks of fear in their eyes. All of them were frozen, not reaching for anything. It was the right move. Now I just had to make sure they didn't make any noise or try anything stupid.
Who are you?
One of them is able to say nervously, his Adam's apple bobbing as he tries to speak.